Yep, welcome back to it. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso. We're live here on S3. I love Tuesdays for the fact that we get to open up to some inspiring stories. And I think when it comes to inspiring stories, G-Man, you can't talk about inspiring stories and people and not mention our guest, Eurika Mogane. I mean, we have had the pleasure of having a chat with her on the show. It's a story of perseverance. It's around tenacity. And then, of course, those stories do stand out. Our next guest, Eurika Mogane. Dr. Eurika Mogane's story is one of them. Before she was a medical specialist, Dr. Mogane made ends meet and, funded her studies by being an office cleaner. And since becoming a medical specialist, she has garnered recognition for her work by becoming a Golden Key International Honorary member. Yes, Queen.
But that is not it, in fact. For the super achiever back in 2021, the medical specialist was then selected as one of the 200 Male and Guardian Young South African Award winners in the Editor's Choice category. This was all because of the role that she played in compiling and translating a free online COVID-19 course for South Africans. Now, to tell us a little bit more about her wonderful journey is the good doctor herself. A very good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Graham and Taviso. Thank you so much for welcoming me and having me on this amazing show. Hello, South Africa.
Hello, Doctor. Good to see you again.
We're really very excited, Doc, to have a chat with you here. But first of all, congratulations on all of your achievements. I mean, these are major moves you've been making. Let's take it back to becoming you. Of course, you had university, and then you had to drop out because you couldn't afford to pay for your fees. Tell us about that experience and what sustained your desire to keep going, to become a health practitioner.
Well, I must say, one of the most painful and heartbreaking things is knowing that you have the capability, you have the passion, but because of limited resources, you're not able to pursue or finish off as much as anyone else has used the same route. So our routes are definitely different. So I was broken. I mean, having grew up a top student from high school and then now coming to the big world, the real world, and then having to meet all of these other factors that came into play. I mean, my family also tried their very best, but, resources were limited. They couldn't do much. We applied for a lot of other fundings, but a lot of things were not approved. Only to realize right now, looking back, that it was all part of the journey. And looking back then, I mean, there were days where I'd have to even braid other students' hair just to get enough money for maybe food or transport fare to move from one campus to the next. And it was a really eye-opening journey for me. And then having to come back home, obviously, extended families, friends I was with at varsity, all looked back and they said, but how come? I mean, it's you. We know what you're capable of. So it really does crush someone's spirit. But I sincerely believe, and I've seen when you have the faith, I mean, definitely that's my backbone right there. Being in Christ, that pushed me, knowing what you're called for, who you're there for, and I mean, having spiritual fathers and then like Apostle Peter Jones who would come back and tell me, you are destined to be out there and to help people in the medical field. And that's where I got that drive to just come back, no matter what.
And it's not just about helping the individual as a medical practitioner, but connecting to a much bigger narrative here. So you obviously became a medical specialist. But not only that, you then became a member of the Golden Key International Society, which, as I understand it, is the world's largest collegiate honor society for graduate and undergraduate students, which has strong relationships with over 400 universities around the world. Can you tell us a bit more about that and what that was like and how you felt netting that achievement and becoming a part of this incredible global network?
Well, I must say, back in 2011, when I was given this award as an undergraduate, I didn't really understand what the aim was for it. I didn't really understand what I should do with it. And I remember on that day, I didn't have anyone there with me, no support. I remember it was raining. I had to make means to get to where the ceremony was being held. It was tough. Just getting that award itself was very, very rough in itself. But many years later, right now, they reached out once again. They're recognizing the work that I'm doing, and community impact that I've been making as well. And not only that, I mean, last year they said, listen, you're not just a member anymore, not just undergraduate, but you're also one of our outstanding members that we want to acknowledge and honor. And that for me is really humbling, noting where I come from and knowing that they care. Someone cares about the story and the background that I do have, and it makes a difference. And I mean, the key aim is to inspire it, is to empower and encourage individuals to be themselves, to be comfortable in what they have to offer. That's what I'm grateful for.
I keep thinking of how many other young women and young men are in the position that you found yourself in, unable to untap and unlock that potential because they just don't have the resources, just dying to hear someone else's story of success.
And it's always the ability to tap into somebody else's success story that really does help us see the light at the end of the tunnel. But we know that in 2020, you know, you drafted a free online course on COVID-19. What inspired you to do this? Where did you get the time, first of all, and what's the reception been like for this fantastic work?
Thank you for asking that. Well, first of all, the drive to share information, to make knowledge available, but making sure that it's also grounded down for each and every individual to understand was my drive. That was my biggest thing. So as a medical scientist, you know, with research as a big drive for me, and, you know, medical writing, doing the right research, because there's a lot of information out there. But my drive was to make sure that people get the right data. That is our responsibility as medical professionals. And that's when a group of us actually volunteered. We came together and we found this opportunity available online. And they said, listen, not just to compile, but assisting with also translating, so that any South African or those who are outside of the country can also just access it. So it's available in Afrikaans, Zulu, Sotho. It's available in a number of languages as well, which is amazing because we're trying to break down data so that everyone may be able to understand what is definitely needed. And the reception has been phenomenal. I mean, we even got awarded as golden volunteers just for doing that. And it's from our heart. It was definitely volunteer work that we did, because at the end of the day, what people know will definitely empower them or break them. So we had to play our key role, and I'm thankful for that as well.
And lift and empower. I love it.
Oh, man. I mean, just because you've got nothing on your plate, of course, you also do outreach work in the space of food security. You are helping on so many different levels. Why is it so important for you to pour this energy that you have back into helping others now that you've achieved so much yourself?
You know, my spiritual father encourages and says, Apostle Peter Jones, he always says, we're always looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. But did we know that we are the light for other people's tunnels? And knowing that right there, I've been driven to understand that, listen, in as much as I know pain, I know lack of resources, I know what it is to go without, it's very important that now that I'm able to, I can step in and assist those who aren't able to have what they need at this point or specific time. So I believe it comes back to each of us. We are all responsible for each other at the end of the day. I mean, and if you can, if you have the ability, if you have the time, you know, working with cancer, they always say, as volunteers, you have the heart for people, but you might not always have the time. So whenever you can, you do step out and you reach out to those individuals. So being able to offer that nutritional support, that advice, I mean, boost other people who want to also just empower themselves. I mean, I've been able to assist those who needed editing with their books, just for them to, you know, to just be placed in whatever industries they're in. Those things or those opportunities right there are what drive me as well, because I know that I'm actually now inspiring someone else. I'm impacting others so that it becomes a ripple effect. I mean, it's just one act of kindness that will definitely lead to a major ripple effect to make this world a better place. And that is why we are here.
All right, Doc, I think it's time for you to stop being so lazy and actually go out there and do something with your life. Come on, man, you have an opportunity here. It's as inspirational as the last time we connected with you. Just wonderful to see the headspace that you're in, because I know how you're going to use that energy to help other people, not just your own sector, but right across the board. You are a shining light. You are that light at the end of our tunnel. So thank you so, so much for being there today. What a pleasure reconnecting with you. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you so, so much, Graham and Tabiso, and to you, Expresso Morning Show family in South Africa. Thank you. I really appreciate your time as well, and for also hearing my story. Thank you.
Dr. Eurika Mogane, a true South African icon. I love it. I'm inspired. Okay?